Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Well, good morning, good day. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us today. We have a very special webinar with Francesca Burack. She is a motivational coach, trusted advisor, UN rep of BPW International, and also she is the chair of the International Standing Committee of Development, Training and Employment. Today, she will talk with us about how to motivate our members, how to keep our club up always, and she is an expert on it. I would like to add that she also has been a BPW New York president. She lives in New York, the beautiful city of New York. Thank you. Thank you, Francesca, for accepting to be here today with us. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you today and to share some information. And I'm also anxious to have all of you share some information at the end, because I know that many of us are doing great things and we really don't hear about it too often. So this morning or this afternoon, the evening, wherever you are, we're going to be talking about how do we keep our club going? How do we motivate people? How do we recreate organizations? In New York City, I've had to do all of that and even more. So I'll be sharing some of my stories and I look forward to hearing yours later. So we're going to be looking at the world today, people's needs, BPW, which is the product that we are selling, and membership action plans. We need to have a plan as to how we're going to systematically keep people interested in our organization and also attract people to the organization. Because let's face it, today we have so many emotional issues. All of us, I think that the total world is in a low-grade state of depression. I always talk about this with people because we all, people always say, oh, I asked this person to do something and she didn't come through. Well, a lot of times there's so much going on within an individual that we really have to take time to stop and figure out what's happening with them. How are you doing today? A lot of people will say, I'm okay. Well, really, many people aren't okay today. And so go beyond that. Are you really okay? What's happening? What would you like to share with me? I'm really interested in listening to you. Those three words are magic. I'm interested in listening to you. So there's more than three words, but that listening to you really strikes a bell, because we're all overworked, underpaid, and quite frankly, balancing so many things that it's really difficult to know what we're doing, where we're going, unless we have a plan. And let's face it, as I said in my book, Women Are Special, 123 Reasons Why. Women are special because we face the challenges of being a woman every day. People are interested in connections, relationships, and engagements. Connections and relationships. There are so many studies out right now that say relationships are the most important thing in people's life right now. This is what people are looking for, relationships. People want to be heard. And so my answer, my solution to all of these needs is BPW, because we can meet all these needs. But in order to do that, we have to be sustainable. And sustainability involves visibility for the organization, making connections, turning those connections into relationships that will help people get engaged. And the engagement occurs with WIIFM. What's in it for me? Everyone wants to know, why should I join an organization? Why should I continue to be in this organization? what's in it for me? So you have to appeal to people's emotional needs. Do they want to advocate for something? Is there something special? Do they want to take on a special project and get other people involved? Do they want to join this committee, that committee? You know, what is it that they personally want? Because when we do things that we really want to do, we can accelerate them at them quicker. And then all of these people that we meet, they go into your database. And I am so tired of people saying to me, oh, I can't put them in my database. Yes, you can. You have to do the ask. I ask everyone I meet, everyone. I say to them, oh, you know, we're exchanging cards. This is an in-person. We're going back to in-person now, but even on virtual, and I'll go into that a little bit. I always say, oh, I belong to this great influential women's network. It's called Business and Professional Women International. We have so many interesting programs and we do so many things. And we have networks around the world that you can get connected to. Can I put you into our database so that when we have announcements, congresses, and now that we're virtual, you could go anywhere around the world with us? They give me that card. They give me the information in the chat box, you know, whatever it is. People want to be connected. It's the way you approach people. So those databases, they really, you know, the first 300 names in the New York City database came from me. No one wanted, you know, we did a training on how to ask people if they can be added to our database. And by the way, when I'm adding them to our database, I'm adding them to mine. I say, oh, by the way, I have some really interesting articles that I send people. You know, let's talk later. I'll find out what you are interested in. And let me put you in my database. And when something is appealing, I'll send it to you. Yes, yes, please do so. So there is no reason why you can't enlarge your database. So in order to have a plan around membership, we have to understand the product that we're selling. And we're selling BPW. And there's a lot going on in BPW around the world. So let's take a look. I took this off the front page of the BPW International website. So it talks about us being an influential international network. We're in 100 countries. We're on 5 continents. And they always stress, and we always stress, consultative status at ECOSOC at the United Nations. But what do we do? What's our mission? So I highlighted this part. It's not highlighted. So we developed the professional leadership and business potential of women now on all levels through mentoring, networking, skill building, economic empowerment programs and projects around the world. So how are you meeting these needs? How are you delivering this development? Do you have mentoring, networking, skill building, economic empowerment programs and projects? So here's one way of figuring out what are you going to offer people. We all know that, but I just wanted to emphasize it. So there's so many things that go on. So we have local things, right? We have national, we have regional, and we have international. This is the group that came to, I think it was the last or next to the last in-person Leader Summit in New York City. And there are so many opportunities in BPW, and there are so many opportunities in your clubs. So the UN, we have CSW. Everyone goes to CSW, or a large percentage of our BPW members come to New York to attend CSW. And I couldn't resist. This is at one of our meetings. This is the assembly. We were allowed to sit in on one of the meetings. And at the end, after everybody left, I couldn't resist going and sitting at the United Nations, United States table and taking a photograph. It was just, you know, fun. We have to have some fun, don't we? And here's the very last in-person summit we had was in 2019. And I'm hoping and praying that I will see all of you back in New York in 2023. So about this product that we have, here is the BPW website. There is so much going on, even if we don't go there and look at it. It's a good idea to look at it so that you know what's happening and you can actually talk to people about it. We now have a membership directory. How many people are in this directory that are on this call? You don't have to raise your hand, but think about it. We have standing committees. We have projects. If you're thinking about a project, maybe there's somebody already doing something that you want to do, and you can connect with them and say, how's it going? What were the challenges? How did you meet that solution? I mean, how did you meet that solution? How did you meet that challenge? What kind of solution did you come up with? What kind of successes have you had? So you can learn from other people in this organization. It's really wonderful. And then there's also, I'm not seeing it, maybe it's under the members, I forgot to look for it, but there is a place where you can list yourself as an expert. So my advice to you is, if you want some visibility for yourself in this organization, I recommend that you go into the website, see what's there so that you can talk to other people about what's happening internationally. You know, the international connection was the thing that did it for me when I joined this group, because there are 1,000 women's organizations, and I can't begin to tell you how many other business and professional organizations there are in New York City. This one was international, and I really wanted to make sure that when I'm working for women, I'm working primarily in my own city, my own country, but I also want to be working for women around the world, because what's the good of one country's women in one country making it and not helping the women in other countries? So that's really what drew me to this organization. So know what this organization has, and also look at this, you know, in terms of your own organization. What are you doing in terms of, do you have a directory? You know, can people be listed as experts in your organization? So what is it that you can bring from this whole thing locally that's going to attract other women and that are going to help you retain your members? If you ask your members how many people have gone to this website, I bet very few have. And of course, Susan Jones, the first VP of membership from 2017 to 2020. A lot of us know Susan Jones. BPW allows ordinary women to do extraordinary things. I love quoting her. So what's your membership plan? How many of you have a membership plan? Even though I can't see all of you, can you go into the reactions and let's see, or very few people have an actual membership plan. You know, it's not a common thing, but we have to have a membership plan. I like to call it my plans. When I'm planning, I always do 3 things are very easy. I can plan on the spot with people. What do we have to do? When are we going to do it? And then who's going to be responsible for it? If you have those 3 key factors, you can get people moving instantly. Then you, of course, you have to follow up and remind them what they committed to. So follow up is always important. So you want your goals. What do you want to accomplish? And then your time frame. So I like to work backwards. So if I say we're gonna double our membership, yeah, are you listening, God? We're gonna double our membership by the end of the year. So let's say that means I have to bring in, let's say the average organization has about 30 members. Let's say we want to double it. I don't know, is it realistic? Is it specific? If that's not realistic, pick something. So if I want to double, or if I want 30 new members by here, how am I going to break that up? By quarter. When is my biggest impact? I know that the 3rd quarter, between the 2nd and 3rd quarter with the summer, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to bring in as many people as I could during the 1st and 4th quarter. So when I'm thinking about my plan, I have to think about ways I'm going to bring in people during each quarter so I can monitor it and see how successful we are in implementing the strategies and the actions. Are they working? If not, what do we need to do to make these work? Or are we going to get better ones? Or ones that are more conducive to this organization? Then who's going to do what, when, and where? Right? What are going to be our challenges? So there's the responsibilities. You know, who's going to do the social media? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? And of course, and by when. Okay, that means specific dates. Am I checking in with people on a weekly basis at the beginning to make sure that things are moving? Don't wait too long. Am I checking in 3 days to make sure things are moving? What am I doing the first week, the second week, the third week, the month? And then am I doing monthly after that? These are things you have to figure out based on your interaction with who has what responsibilities and when. What are the challenges we're going to face? What resources do we have to overcome these challenges? Make sure your primary resource is your membership. How are you going to entice them to be part of this plan? Should be recruiting. Every member should be helping to retain. How do you get that message across? Do you have a town hall meeting? Do you meet one-on-one with individuals and get a core group first? And, you know, these aren't like 20-minute meetings when you have a core group together. You have to spend some time together. You have to bond. Then you want to evaluate as you go along. And you also want to evaluate each quarter. You want to evaluate at the end what worked, what didn't work, what did we learn from each of these situations. And of course, you must celebrate. You must celebrate all your successes. On a quarterly basis, have some sort of celebration. I don't know, on an annual basis, I used to have a president's reception where I invited people here to my home, and then we went up on the roof and watched a sunset. You know, that was like a special kind of celebration. So think about a celebration. Are members willing to open their homes? You know, I don't know with COVID now. I mean, this was a while ago. I don't know with COVID now. You know, meet someplace outdoors. Do whatever it takes to celebrate, but please celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. And at each one of your meetings, whether you meet monthly, I don't know how you program your meetings, but if you're meeting monthly, always mention something that you can celebrate as a group. It keeps people wanting to come back. Okay, so I heard this presentation from Wayne Baker. I usually quote women, but I couldn't resist quoting a man here. Most people are willing to help. Studies indicate 70% to 90% of help that is given is in response to requests for help. So we have to get comfortable asking for help. And when asking for help, you will always want to ask questions first. You know, what are they interested in? Would they be interested in something like this? No, a few more questions before you get into, would you be interested with something like this? Most people don't ask for what they want. And therefore, most of the time, nothing happens. This is according to Wayne Baker. So it's important that we do the ask. So let's take a look at our resources. We like to train ambassadors. What are ambassadors? Ambassadors are people, get a committee together, an ambassador committee. These are your welcomers. These are your people that love your organization, that see the opportunities. If they don't love it and they don't see it, go through all these things, figure out a connection for them. Get people, though, that want to be involved with the organization. This starts with one-on-one conversations. Train ambassadors so that they have the ability to communicate the value of this organization. What are the connections? What can they get out of it? What are they interested in? You know, they're the welcomers. So they're the ones that if it's a virtual meeting in a chat and they see someone new, they welcome that person with a direct chat. Hi, I see that you're here. Are you here for the first time? Welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Would you mind giving me your email so I could follow up with you, or your WhatsApp? Why don't we connect on LinkedIn? Whatever it is you want to say, these are the ambassadors. That is their role 24/7, along with everything else they're doing. Okay, use people's talents and gifts. Who are the people that are able to connect with people? Stretch people. If people say, well, you know, I'm not sure, ask them, you know, what is it they want to get for themselves out of life? Do they want to be a better communicator? Practice with us in the ambassador training group. You have to train the ambassadors, you know, what to communicate, how to communicate, practice, practice, you know, ask each other, well, how did you feel as the recipient of that communication? So these are the people that welcome, communicate, and follow up after every meeting. And you should have a follow-up committee that actually, it could be your ambassador committee, but if they feel it's too much, have follow-up ambassadors. You know, break up your ambassador committee. Visibility for the organization. You want some public recognition with the organization. Maybe it's a project. I know Yasmin, in her capacity of, I don't know if it was the international president, the president of the Mexican Federation, they opened a nursing school in Mexico. Well, don't you think that put BPW on the map? If you look around in Cyprus, Mary, the president of the Federation, they did an ovarian cancer project on Cyprus. Wow, when she has a summit and she invites people to come, all the dignitaries on Cyprus, they all show up for her gala dinner. The UN ambassador, he what do you call it, to the UN ambassador of Cyprus, he videoed into a meeting she was having. You know, these are the things you want to do. Public recognition is so important. And if you're in a city, it's a little bit more difficult, but it can be done. And then visibility for your members. How are you spotlighting your members? When a new member shows up to a meeting, do you have them introduce themselves? You know? Okay, so those are just a few ideas. Then all these ideas around how are we implementing the BPW mission statement? So what kind of mentoring do you have? What kind of networking do you have? What about skill building? Do you have training programs? I'm going to address this in a little while. And then economic empowerment programs and projects. Do your governments offer programs to women in transition, small business owners? You know, the SBA here in the United States of America, they have monthly, it's beyond monthly now. They have programs practically every week on some aspect of running a small business, from whether you're starting up, whether you're expanding your business, whether you're in the final stages of your business, whether you're looking to retire, whatever it is. So and they're all free. So what is your government offering? Here's some more ideas. How do you welcome members? Do you have an orientation where not just the executive, but other members are involved in the orientation program? You know, I went to, in terms of recruitment, I found out Harvard Business, one of our members told me that the Harvard Business Alumni Association was doing a nonprofit board event where a nonprofit could come and recruit, have a table and try to recruit people for your board. So I went with myself, a young BPW, and one of the other executives. We had 3 people on the table. We had brochures, we had job descriptions of every board position. We had, a sign-up sheet for their contacts, and an interest that they may have in regard to the information they saw for a board position. And then we had a little reception for all those people interested in Harriet Friedlander's home, she's a New York City member that is always so gracious in lending her home. And we spoke to them about the organization. We spoke to them about responsibilities. Anyway, to make a long story short, I had 4 young BPWs on my executive board in their 20s, recently graduated, in their first job. Can you believe this? And they accepted responsibility to join the board and were active. Why were they active? Because I communicated with them every week. We spoke every week. Every single one of them and I spoke every single week. I kept them moving because I knew they needed it. It didn't have to be an hour long. At the beginning it was, but then it was like 20-minute conversations. How you're doing, what's up, what do you need help with in terms of your personal and professional life, what's happening with the organization, with your responsibility, blah, blah, blah. And it worked. They were fabulous. They were the last administration I had, and every administration was great. And I have to tell you, this one was really So great, because we had the influx of the young BPWs. We aged in range from 21 to, I don't know who was the oldest. What was her name? I can't mention her name, she'd be upset, but she was in her 70s. So we had a whole range of thought, a whole different perspective of what was needed out there. Then what are you doing for your MIA members, your missing in action members? Who goes after them? What's happening to you? Maybe they're sick. Maybe they have somebody that, God forbid, has cancer in their family. Maybe they just need a connection. Maybe they had to drop out of work and are so frantic at home and just needs a human being to talk to. So where are they? What do you do about them? Do you have town halls quarterly with no speaker, just to say, what's happening? How can we help you more? What are you willing to contribute? To make your organization more relevant. Needs and leads. Are people in transition? One year we did needs and leads at the beginning of every meeting, and we announced we were going to do that, which drew more people because people were in transition, or business people were looking for business leads. Even if we couldn't give them a lead then, we made sure that everyone had their contact information and could supply leads later. Cocktails and conversations. I know cocktails is a word we use here, but it could be tea and conversations. It could be, an international, I didn't put it down here. What about an international dinner night where everyone brings a traditional dish and the recipe for that dish? And you talk about the recipe and the tradition and what this dish means to this culture. So what about something like that? So you have to create rituals and traditions in your club. Do you have a candle lighting ceremony every year? The president's reception. Do you have an annual international dinner? What is it? And really important that we don't pay as much attention to is succession planning. Who are you interested in? Who's interested in being part of the executive? If you have no one, which very often happens, I went out, I had no one that was willing to replace me. One of these new people, she was VP of programs. I approached her and said, look, I think you would be ideal for the position of presidency. And here's why. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will be on the board for at least a year. And if you want, I will stay longer as your advisor. I will help you in the background and you will be the leader of the organization. I'm not going to be the face. You will be the face at your meetings, we are invited to different meetings. We're invited to speak. That's another thing. I've spoken at many New York City and state government meetings where the city council was trying to decide on something that was affecting women-owned businesses. I spoke as the president of this group. I spoke up in Albany at the lieutenant governor's meeting on an issue that had to do with salary, or another one on sexual harassment. So the organization got known and I was invited to be speaking there. So I said to Nancy, you will be at these meetings. I'll help you prepare, whatever. Her fear was she didn't know the organization well enough. And that is a challenge. I said, you are so smart. You've been reading everything. You've been calling my attention to certain things. When she read the Constitution, she read the bylaws, she was perfect. Unfortunately, a family situation occurred. And a month before election, she couldn't be the one. So it was a very interesting situation, but you've got to do your best. Things happen. You have to do your best. Do you have an annual strategic planning session with your executive? What happens at the beginning of the year when you all take office? Getting to know each other, talking about your superpowers. When you have in person or even virtually, people should have their name and a superpower. What's your superpower? When we started my standing committee team, I asked them at our opening, it was your name. What club do you belong to? Do you have a position in the club other than the important position of being a member? What's your favorite thing to do? What's your superpower? And I think there was one more that I'll ask Mona later to tell us. So, get to know each other. So when you have a meeting, What's their superpowers? Make note of them. Tap into them later, virtually. Ask people by your name, please put your superpower. What do you think your superpower is? Some people said, well, I don't know. So we talked about it. We discussed it. You can't do that virtually, of course, but you can help people decide. If you walk around and people don't have a superpower on, go over to them, ask them, oh, I see you don't have a superpower. Well, I don't really have it. You know, what are you good at? What do you like to do? You know, get them talking about it. They have a superpower, then get them to write it. So that's another thing. And then training. Do you offer training for different stages of the business and professional woman? You know, it's very different from entering to your mid-level career to, you know, God, I'm going to be retiring soon. What is my next act? What is my next journey? So all of those things. So here's what we're doing on the Development, Training, and Employment team, also known as a standing committee. We developed together. I'm showing you this as the process that we used. We get on every 2 weeks. This is such a committed team. They inspire me. You know, I had a standing committee once before. Let me tell you, nothing happened. Well, it happened. We came up with a plan, but nothing, you know, it didn't meet my expectations. This team, I have to tell you, maybe it's because I started out differently. Maybe it's because I had a team. You know, my standing committee last time, they gave me 5 people. So this time we have, I believe it's 14 of us that are active. I think 18 signed up. 2 have been replaced. So here we came up with our mission. And our mission is to provide a platform to broaden our members' knowledge, skills, and alliances. Well, we don't want to waste our energy. We don't want to duplicate effort. So the first thing we're doing is we're creating a centralized resource guide listing training, development, and employment programs, projects, and activities in the BPW worldwide community to be placed on our website page. All the standing committees have a website page. We want to open channels of communication for collaboration and sharing information, support our members by identifying and providing growth opportunities. Just like I made the example of the Small Business Administration. I don't know if it's open to people worldwide. We're testing it on my committee. I asked people on the committee to sign up for some of the events and see if they are allowed in. So we'll see what happens. And if they are, we're going to be putting all of those on our webpage. So you'll have to go to our webpage to find out. Share up-to-date knowledge, information, best practices, add value to their businesses and careers by helping them identify resources. So that's where we are. Then we got together and said, well, what does that mean? What do we need to do? So we looked at all our goals and we came up with the action steps. The time frames now are our next thing. And right now we are sending out this spreadsheet to a variety of people. Let me see what's on my next slide because, yes, share the spreadsheet. Oh, right on time. I have to take about 30 seconds to stop sharing this and to go back to share the screen. Here's what we're sending out to people. And if you know, like Carmen, you're on my list because I know you know what's going on in Ireland. So anyone on this call today that knows what's happening in your region or club, we would like to hear from you. So please put your email in the chat and put spreadsheet, and one of my committee members will take a photo of all those emails, please. So we're looking at training and employment program names. So here, let's take this one, Keys to Advancement. Description: this program is designed to challenge members of BPW to work through a structured series of tasks to develop key career and business skills such as communication, development, and leadership, as well as enhance your knowledge of and commitment to BPW. It's Australia. It's new to BPW Developing Career. I didn't read the categories. Who's the creator and the club, the foundation name? The level of suitability for members, new to the force, 5 years in business, very experienced. I think we said seasoned. The program category, personal and professional development, program course and length, self-paced, no defined, what do you call a no defined end date? If is this program open to BPW members worldwide? In other words, in parentheses, can any member attend your programs? Self-paced, start date at sustainability of individuals. So I guess the answer here is yes. Delivery method, various. Please change to mention all. Oh, I sent this out before I added this column to Angela on our committee. She was so nice. Director of membership here. BPW contact person details for information for use. So that's who you contact. Access and reference links, resources available. And there's the person's, by the way, that's the email address. And fee to participate in course. Varies based on activities attended. Anyway, these two I have to, oops, I'm sorry, Angela, because she updated it somewhere else. So I didn't, this form went out to different people with her. She was the original sample. So here we have keys to lifelong learning and leadership by the USA. There's a young BPW program being developed in Malta, sorry. Francesca, she's Francesca too. It's very strange talking to Francesca when I'm speaking to her. Then there's the personal development. You know, there's all these things going on. There's 3 things happening in Jordan based on exporting. You know, if you're thinking about training your business owners to export their products, well, here you go. All you have to do is contact wherever the contact is. Anyway, you would contact the person involved. So this is going, oh, I got to share my screen again. So this is going to be up on the BPW website page of the standing committees. Okay, so, and here's the motto by which we operate. I have this, we set up a special email address for our team. And on the bottom for the signature, because I believe that we can offer women this fighting chance that Hillary Clinton speaks about. This really touches my heart. I have always believed that women are not victims. We are agents of change. We are drivers of progress. We are makers of peace. All we need is a fighting chance. So I want to, isn't that a wonderful, I want to acknowledge my team who is working very hard. I highlighted them so that you can see. We have representatives from Europe, Asia Pacific, Africa, North America, and the Caribbean, and one from Latin America. So all of the regions are represented here. Nani, Yasmin, I forgot the name that she goes by. Theon, that's not the name she uses. Francesca, Anna Rita, Faith, Katya, Judy, Natalia, Mona, Rana, Jahan, and Gladys, and Angela. So we have minutes that we take. Minutes are very, very important. I'm prepared. I have a PowerPoint. We write on the PowerPoint all those things that you saw back here. We wrote during the meeting. And then everyone gets this PowerPoint and the minutes so that people know exactly what we've done. And when people commit to doing something, like Mona committed to finding 2 articles that are relevant for women in business and careers. And she got us 2 articles, Harvard Business Review and another one. And we're putting them up on our website page on a monthly basis. We'll be having 2 articles there. The other thing we're looking at as a standing committee is developing a training program on collaborations if none is out there. This is something that every club should think about. Who can you collaborate with? In New York City, we collaborate with the Equal Pay Power Her. We go, if you'll notice here, this forum was hosted by the New York State Attorney General and Power Her. We've gotten so many laws implemented over the last 10 years. It's good to have one voice for women. There's a whole process, I wish we had time to talk about advocacy and what we've done here and the process that we use and how we got 100 women's organizations to join us, maybe another time. So to have a successful plan, you need to try something different. Is it a yearly theme? We went to the birthday party project, shelters with homeless families to celebrate birthdays every year. Every month they do a celebration of whoever's birthday it is. A willingness and desire to bring in new members. You have to have intergenerational communication training so that people do that. I think you could read all this, so I'm not going to go through all of this. Very important: communication, communication, communication. And to have a sense of adventure and fun. If you're not having fun, who wants to do it, right? They have to build in some fun. So we went through, you have to understand your product, you have to have a written plan with all of the responsibilities, the challenges, etc. The key is to build relationships by listening with all of your senses, ask questions, and being interested in others. You can either mourn what you think you cannot do. I love to share this with people, or celebrate what you can do as individuals, as an organization, as an international network. Embrace who you are as individuals, as an organization, and expand your gifts and talents. Look, these two young women have done phenomenal things. If they can do that, can't we get our organizations to thrive? I think we can. Thanks for listening. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Francesca Burack, Master Coach, International Speaker. And then my email address is on the bottom there. Okay, I took a lot of time. I thought I'd be finished so that we'd have 20 minutes to chit chat together. But anyway, question sharing. So I know in terms of shadowing for succession planning, I know that Carmen does shadowing. Does anyone have any questions before we ask people for some specific information? Yes.
I'll jump in here, Francesca. Thank you so much for a really lovely presentation. It was really a joy to listen to you and very motivating in and of itself. So I think you've given a powerful amount of information to the people present and all those who might view the video in the future. And great work on the committee, but our particular focus, of course, is all those many years in New York as the president of the club and the motivation of the club when it was lagging at one point, I know. So the remotivation of that club, a very hard thing to do. We get, this comes up in conversation a lot in BPW, that a club is waning or dying, and how do we resuscitate it, or do we let it die and start a new one, or is there another option? So thanks for all that input. We have about 15 minutes remaining, so we do have a little time for discussion, which is great. And as usual, if you would like to ask a question of Francesca or make a comment or share something on this topic with the group, then please go to the reactions. If you're looking at this in another language, you'll have to sort that out, but the reactions icon among your options on your screen. And one of those is raise hand. Another one is just clapping hands, but that disappears right away. So don't use that. That's just to applaud silently. But there's one that says raise hand. And if you do that, it will put you in a queue in the order that people raise their hands who would like to speak. So if any of you would like to join in the conversation, please click on that raise hand function. Meantime, while you're sorting that out, I will turn to our co-facilitator, Yasmin. Dr. Yasmin, and did you have any comments for Francesca?
Thank you, and thank you, Francesca. Very, very exciting listening your advice about how to deal with the club. So one of the, for me, most important and difficult things to do, because you need to maintain this little cell of in this big organization, but it's the essence of BPW International, the clubs, the members. They are the spirit, they are the soul. So we need to take care of them and give it to them all these tools that we have after more than 90 years to be one of the most powerful women's organization in the world. So thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. And as all of you, maybe not, but many of you know, we have this gallery of videos that you can share with your members. And this is the main goal for us, for Anne and for me, that we can have this archive that you can use in your meetings. Usually is 30 minutes of the presentation, so you can share in the meeting with your members this important information and training webinars. Thank you. Thank you, Francesca.
You're welcome. You know, I have to say that so far, when we've asked people on the committee about what kind of training is happening in their region or federation or club, and basically there's very little going on because people don't have that kind of expertise usually locally. So it's hard. And that's why, you know, our team wants to make sure that we can help each other. And I'm going to put my WhatsApp in the box here. I didn't in the chat box. I didn't want to put it on the slides to go out to YouTube, you know, but if any of you need any help whatsoever, please just ask me. You know, the ask, you'll get it. So, you know, and ask each other. Don't be afraid to ask. I know, you know, none of us want to feel vulnerable. So I'm putting it out there. I'm giving everyone permission. Ask for help, we'll give it to you. And if you need help with a strategic planning session, you want to facilitate it virtually, I can help you with that. It's a very important process, that strategic planning process. It's really your goal. It sets you in action for the whole year.
Okay, thanks again, Francesca. So Carmen, you're the first up for questions or comments. Over to you, Carmen.
Hi, Francesca. Lovely to see you.
Hi, Carmen.
How are you? Obviously, a lot of what you said, I understand, and we've done that here in Ireland. And that just there's one thing, just to ask your advice on. I've been in a position where, like, a president will hand over to somebody else who obviously was probably just chosen by that president, and that person would not bring the same energy to the club that the previous president had. And we've found that's been we've lost members over it. It's just wonder how you deal with that without them feeling, especially somebody like me who's a control freak, actually interfering and saying, you don't do it that way, or you're not doing what I did, or, you know, you're not doing what you should be doing in the club without, you know, that's very hard to do that. Now, I know virtually for the last 2 years with the COVID and it's even been more difficult to get involved, but we're all starting to come back to meet now. And well, for me, I've kind of moved on from the club scene because, as you know, I'm European secretary, so I'm dealing with a whole new level, which is really exciting and interesting, and all these different women's personalities. But just to go back to that question of you hand over, and then this person is complete opposite and really isn't interested like you were, and then members say, oh, she's not the same as the last person. So how do you deal with that?
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. So this is the president handpicked the next president.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So according to our bylaws, the nominations process is open to anyone that wants to run. So she may pick that person, but there may be other people that are interested if encouraged. So I would, number one, speak to, first of all, you have to have a nominating committee, you know, and they go out and they ask all the members if anybody wants to run. And, you know, behind the scenes, if you think that people are good to run, then you should, you know, ask them to run, just like I asked that particular woman to run. And then there's a whole process with the elections. You know, they have to submit documents. They have to have a motivational, you know, what's the motivation? They sign on the dotted line that, yes, they are committed, whatever the process is for you. But, you know, it's hard to let go.
Mm.
It's hard to let go. I literally saved New York City.
Mm.
It's hard to let go, but I do not. I'm on the executive committee, and my role there is to make sure that we're legally defensible, that we are doing things by the bylaws. The rest of the executive committee, everybody on that executive committee is new, except the president, who's been a member for 2 years, and she invited these people to join the organization so that they could run with her. And it's a good board, but she does things differently than I do, and you have to step back
Mm.
and not, open your mouth so much
Mm.
unless you see that there's a crisis that's going to develop. And then ask a lot of questions like, well, if we do that, what will the outcome be? Is that the outcome we're looking for? How can we handle this in a more efficient, effective way? It's unfortunate. I've seen this happen. Florida, Liz Benham just became the club president of the Florida organization that she started a few years ago, because for whatever reason, she felt that she had to step back into that position.
Okay.
So there are times when, you may have to step back in and.
Yeah, you don't always have the ideal situation that you have 4 or 5 people. You're lucky sometimes if you have one person interested in the position. So, yeah, thank you.
But it's also, that succession planning is so important. You have to get
Yeah.
people engaged early, not a month before you're having elections.
Okay, thank you, Carmen. We have actually just 5 minutes remaining. We always try to, mindful of all of your time schedules as well, we always try to end on time. So I'm going to ask 2 current Federation presidents, Christine and then Joe, if you will just step in for a comment on how maybe you help to motivate, maybe even club presidents, but how you help to motivate members within the Federation. So Christine, would you like to say anything about that?
Interesting, because I'm along tonight because we are due to have our elections and not a lot of engagement, so sort of looking for some inspiration, etc. And as everyone said, it's been difficult without the face-to-face, so trying to keep that motivation. But also I've found that often it's that stepping out from your own community club and getting someone to say, hey, actually, I can take that next step. And that's the step, I think, that's the hardest, for them to understand that the organisation isn't just based in their hometown or their home city, but more that it is that international and bringing that international into it. And I think the more I've been involved, the more I'm able to actually encourage people to look into that, look at what's happening nationally, look at what's happening internationally, and talk about things like CSW. And I think that's starting to, give some of that momentum, but here to get some advice much as anything. So, or listen to, the presentation just to see what we can take from it.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Joe?
Well, thank you for surprising me with the floor, Anne. And I guess that's part of what BPW is about, isn't it? Surprising communication, networking. Here in the UK, we are doing our Phoenix Acts. Sue Holton, our treasurer, is here, and we've just approved a new budget. We've gone with a new provider for a website. We're updating it so we can use PayPal to make it a one-click stop for members. Our newsletter is actually produced by Monique Lee in California, and she has loved it. So I think we have to think local but act global, and that's what we're doing here in the UK. So thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead, Francesca.
I'd be remiss in terms of talking about projects that can get you on the map. In New York City, we're heading up this Afghan project, and it's gotten national and international recognition for the organization. And there's a whole committee and they're doing such a wonderful job. So I just wanted to also throw that into the pot.
Thank you. Yasmin, I'll come back to you in just a minute, but I wonder if there are any other federation presidents, national level presidents in the room who would also like to speak to this point of motivating your members. I don't know all of you, so I don't know if any of the others are federation presidents. Maybe not. We probably have several club presidents. But we will then begin to draw this to a close. Yasmin, I'll turn it over to you one more time, and then I'll close.
Thank you very much. Carmen, I think that you raise a very important point, that some members are not aware that we have a constitution to follow. The international constitution is the model that we use for the federation constitutions or bylaws and the local clubs. The national federation has to have this constitution. The members has to know about it and follow it. I was very happy when I been in Italy, that when they introduce a new member, they give it to her the pin of the federation and the book with the rules or bylaws of BPW Italy. So you know, since day one, that you are committed to follow the rules. So no surprise. Personally, in my club, for example, we didn't elect the president. We elect vice president, who will be the next president. So she had 1 year to train herself about the president. So this is very important, and also the members can see her performance, and if they don't like it, sorry. So, but we need to follow some rules. We have to know that we have rules. And I know it's hard to live, but the most hard, Francesca, I think you will agree with me, is that when you build something with a lot of work of your members, and then came someone just to destroy what you did. So that is why we have to train. Sometimes you can do it, sometimes it is as it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yasmin. Again, a great thank you to Francesca. I will mention just one thing in my closing remarks, and that is Hong Kong, where I started a second club there. The first one had run for 34 years. At its peak, it had 300 and some members, but by the end, it had a struggling few, and they were not willing to take leadership roles, and so they laid it down. I wasn't in Hong Kong at the time. And 2 years later, we started a new club, and we were able to meet with those last few remaining members that were even in contact. There were only 4 or 5 of them, of the former club. Most of them were very old. They had been original members and held on, and they were not interested in getting engaged in the new club. And they could tell us some of the downfalls of the previous club, so we determined to do things differently. So we were able to reorganize in a way that took their strengths, but also their weaknesses by their own admission, and kind of reframed it in a very different way for the new club, which is on its 4th presidency today and quite active and successful. So sometimes you do have to lay it down, and then maybe you can create a new baby from that. And this is another way to go. Okay, so on that note, we again, one last time, a great thanks to our speaker. A thanks to my co-facilitator, Dr. Yasmin. Lots of silent clapping in the room. A lot. Isn't Zoom weird? But hey, we're meeting from how many different countries? So it's also great. So also I want to thank each and every one of you for taking an hour out of your day and joining us today. This will be online within the next 24 hours on our YouTube channel, and you can, I put the link in the chat, and you can also find it on our Facebook page, and you can also just search for us on there. So There are 50 plus, 52 maybe other videos there. Check those out as well. We've been doing this now for 3 years, and we plan to keep it going for the foreseeable future. Join us next month. It's always the second Wednesday of each month at the same time. So join us next month for Digital Leadership Part 2, New Speakers. We had a very active and very informative one a few months ago, and now we're following that up with a sequel. So we hope to see all of you again then. Bye for now.
Okay, bye everyone.